some questions. I'm gonna close that door. You start rolling on here.
Are you doing like KNSU TV or?
I'm just gonna
roll. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. And when you talk, just talk to us. Don't even worry about the camera.
Don't look at the camera.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm rolling. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. First question. Growing up in Thibodeau, what did sports look like for you as a kid, and where did officiating first ever enter the picture?
Connor, when you're asking the question, because you're sitting further away from the mic, you got to actually ask it that way, not
Okay.
that way.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but speak a little bit louder.
All right.
Good advice.
All right, we'll start from the beginning. All right. Growing up in Thibodeau, what did sports look like for you as a kid, and where did officiating first enter the picture?
It's a great question. So when I was a kid, I was 1975. The Saints had training camp in Thibodeau. If y'all wasn't even born,
No.
y'all wasn't even around. So I lived in Thibodeau, and my uncle became friends with Derlin Moore. Derlin Moore was a defensive tackle, nose guard for the Saints, played at Oklahoma. He got drafted by the Saints, and they became good friends. And in '75, we used to invite some Saints players over to the house. My grandpa would cook a chicken sausage sauce piquant and kind of have some Saints players come down. Some names would be Jim Merlo, Tinker Owens, Derlin Moore. Look those guys up, and you can kind of see their history. And this is the '70s. And so by being a 5-year-old, 6-year-old boy and having Saints players come to your house, you're like the cool kid on the street now, right? So I guess my love for football kind of started then, where you're being around these NFL players. And I didn't know what NFL was back then when I was a boy. I just knew these football players, these huge guys coming over and just spending some time, and they let me sit on their lap and talk, whatever. I'm a 5-year-old kid. What are you going to talk about? So that kind of planted the seed. And then as I got older, we moved to Laplace. I went to St. Charles Catholic. Was playing football, and then you don't know how good you're going to be or what, but we had some success under Tim Letellier coaching us. And I started getting letters from colleges about recruiting for football, and said maybe I can take it to the next level. And so Purdue Boilermakers was my first letter. Ended up coming to Nicholls State on a scholarship, and stayed here 3 years. And I went to school for physical therapy assistant, and I came back to Thibodeau, started working at the hospital at Thibodeau Regional, and got married in '97 in May. And that July I started high school football officiating. So a buddy of mine, we were working out at the gym, he invited me to a meeting. He said, hey, come to a meeting. I knew you played ball, come check it out. I went to a meeting and basically just kind of like fell in love with learning about officiating, and never knew it would take me to Super Bowl 60 this year. So that's pretty cool, yeah. So football's been part of my life.
From the start.
Yeah, from the beginning.
So you were an athlete and now you're an official. So talk about that transition, because I know as an athlete you see referees different. Yeah. Now that's actually what you do and you have been doing for a long time. Talk about that transition that you had.
Yeah, so playing the sport helps you out, because, and I go back, when I was playing the sport, I never looked at officiating or looked at the officials as really being part of the game. We had our routine, we had what we had to do, had to tackle the guy. That was my job, right? But officiating never really came in. But having an understanding of the game and working together as a team, now being part of a crew, you got to work together as a crew and have good chemistry, because I need to kind of feel what you're thinking. Because if you just had a call and now I see that you wasn't sure about it and you kind of thinking about it, I might come up to you and have to pull you out of it, just like I would. Like if my linebacker missed a tackle, I'm like, hey dude, we got another play. We got to get your head back in the game, It's 3rd and 6 now, we need you. And I do the same now. So having that crew chemistry and that just guys working together, or gals now, coming together and knowing your tendencies and knowing when you're down, I might need to come in and tell you a joke, TV timeout, and pull you back in, But yeah, it does help. We have a lot of officials though who didn't play football. They might have been baseball players, or but you still have that team concept, that crew concept, to where hey, you got to work together. You got to know your guys. You got to know their tendencies. You got to know if they're down. You got to know if they're up. Sometimes we got to bring them back down a little bit, because you can get too excited sometimes, and and really not focus on what we need to do during the game. So, yeah, it definitely helps.
And, you know, there's different levels, as you mentioned, high school, college, NFL. What's the main difference between each? Because I know the game changes, you know, the players are bigger, the game becomes faster, it's a lot hectic environment. What's some differences that you see being an official?
Yeah. Every game, whether it's high school, college, or NFL, you still got these nerves developing in your stomach before the game. You know, so you still have that aspect of it, but all your training, your planning, your video review during the week is going to help you kind of settle down. But from high school to the Southland Conference is all about the speed and the size, right? From Southland Conference to the Big 12 Conference, now we're going even faster guys. In the Big 12, you might have 1% of those guys going to be your NFL elite type players. You know, I had CeeDee Lamb in Oklahoma. I had Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma. And you have these players that are now in the league, but now when you in the NFL, everyone is elite. Everyone is at their highest capacity for an athlete. And so the speed of the game is bigger. Of course, you got more people watching, so that stress level as an official to where once I throw that flag, I'm throwing my integrity out there. I want to make sure I'm 110% right versus just throwing something on a Friday night where if you get video of that game, it might be grainy, it might not be as clear. But NFL, I mean, we got 52 cameras out, you know, for Super Bowl Sunday, and everything's high def, slow-mo. You know, everyone can see a blade of grass now, and if his foot was in the white or not. So that part of it to where I got to settle down and settle your nerves a little bit and just get in your position to try to make the right call for that. So the game, over the years, what I've learned is that I'm getting older, but the players are staying the same age. So my physical limitations are getting worse year after year, right? Because, I mean, that's just the facts of life. But the players are staying the same age. And what you saw in the 80s with the Troy Aikman years and Emmitt Smith years, the cameras and the technology is a lot better. I mean, just sitting in this room here, you know, we got better cameras, high def. And so if you go back and watch a game in the 80s, I bet you can probably point out some errors from officiating standpoint versus what we see today. So, yeah, so and the social media, I mean, we didn't have that 10 years ago. Everyone has an opinion now.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone knows how to officiate from behind the phone.
Right.
After watching the play
Yeah,
on TV.
I've been watching it a million times.
Right.
Not in real time.
Yeah, and then a rule on Friday night, they want to say no Sunday or vice versa. You know, and it's like, no, there's different rules. There's Federation rules on Friday, there's NCAA on Saturday, and there's NFL rules on Sunday. It's a lot different.
So, and I think that's a hidden talent with officials and referees having to be in real time making a call. See, a lot of fans, they don't understand how tough that is of a job. What goes through your head, you know, knowing I have to get this call right, and also knowing that you may still deal with backlash, they may not agree. What goes into that? Because I always found it so interesting. Players are huge, they're moving fast, and you're talking about at an NFL level, and you have to make sure that you're watching everything, every blade of grass, making sure players are doing what they're supposed to do. How is that done?
Yeah, so great question. Before every snap, we have a pre-snap routine I go through. So in my head, 3rd and 6, ball's at the 15, where's my position? If he gets tackled inside the 1, I got the spot, not my line judge. All these things, so I'm preparing what may happen. If I have a fade coming my way, and they got hands on each other, who's doing what to who's gonna get more restriction? Am I gonna let them play, or am I gonna be tight? You know, I'm gonna pull the hat down a little bit, blink my eyes, make sure I clear my eyes. All those things are put in place, you know, and plus, you do this for so long. You know, I work snaps, and you work snaps, and you look at video, you know tendencies, you know DK Metcalf's a big guy, right? So he's gonna have a little bit more leverage and maybe push-offs than maybe another little guy. So you gotta know your personnel. And so just like this, just like anything y'all do as a student now, your first day on campus, you had some nerves. You didn't know where to go. You might have got lost. But now, after doing it for so long, you get in a routine. It becomes natural to you. And that's what we do as well. Whereas we look at a play and we look at a foul, it becomes natural. We feel confident when we throw the flag. And then we report it, you know, like we see it. Now, you have some officials, how do you get 121 of us on the same page, right? So we have philosophies. We have the rule book, and then we have philosophies. So, and what I mean by that, you know, it says holding on every play, right? Well, let's just say there's a sweep to the left, and the right tackle is holding the guy, right? Technically, it's a holding, but the sweep went the other way. They don't really want us to call that if it doesn't affect the point of attack. So we have philosophies. We have philosophies like my position, if I see the defensive back grab the receiver and hold his jersey, but when I find that the quarterback, he's throwing the ball the other side, I'm not going to call defensive holding on that. Now, what I would call it is if I see the holding and the quarterback is doing his checks and he's looking at my guy and he can't throw it to him because he was held, that might cause me to make that penalty thrown at that time. So there's different philosophies, and things happen so fast. That's why we work so hard. It took me, I started officiating in '97, high school for 6 years. I did Big 12 for about 12 years. I did some Mountain West in between that. So I got in the NFL at 50 years old. And so, you know, I'm not 30, so I'm not just starting this. I've had so many thousands and thousands of snaps already. So they want to make sure they bring guys up with some skins on the wall, that you've been in that position before, you know, working bowl games and big, high caliber games. That way, when you get in the NFL, you're not in that awe factor. You know, you kind of been there before, so it does help to work snaps and snaps and snaps over and over again.
And you kind of mentioned it, but you hear a lot of people say, let them play rough. It's the end of the game. Don't let the refs decide the game. What's going through your mind when, hey, look, they need a touchdown to score. They're at the 3-yard line. Are y'all calling that tight? Are you letting them play? What goes through your mind most of the time? Or is it different with each game?
Yeah, it is. And in my mind, I'm like, make it big, make it big. I want Grandma Lucy in the stands to know that's a foul before I throw it, right? Because what happens is when you get the media scrutiny and the public scrutiny is when you call these ticky-tack calls, and it affects the game. I like to let the players win, right? So if you watch the Super Bowl this year, we had 1 foul in the first half. I think we had 6 in the second half. We had a total of 7 fouls. No one talked about officiating in the game, right? The players, you know, Seattle won the game, and basically we didn't interfere with that at all. But when it's time to make that call, you know, that defensive pass interference with 10 seconds left in the end zone, you gotta have courage and be decisive when you call it, and you gotta be confident. If I see a play and I go, I'm not gonna throw. I wanna be, that's it, boom, when we crank it up. If you gotta think about it, or go, I tell officials, don't throw it. It's best to have a no call than an incorrect call.
And a flip side of that, speaking of no calls, one that comes to recent memory is the New Orleans no call, the NOLA no call. So there's the other side of it, well, hey, maybe a flag should have been thrown. What's that process on?
Yeah.
Dealing with that scrutiny and backlash, maybe I should have called that, or the fans wanted it, because there's 2 sides to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the first time anybody asked me about that no call. Yeah. I was at the game, and I wasn't in the NFL at the time. I was in the Big 12, and my view is the same view as the field judge that was right there. Now, if you look at the play, if you want to break down the play, his responsibility, his key ran a crossing route, okay? And then you had number 11, I think, come out the back.
On a wheel route. Yeah.
And so he's watching his key come across, and by the time the ball got in the air, he had number 11 coming at him and a DB coming at him, and then the ball's in the air. And from his angle, you know, his feeling was that everything came at the same time, bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang. And so, and he was pretty adamant about it when he was during the game. You know, there's 2 other officials that could have had an opinion, maybe thrown. They could have had a discussion, and they could have said, you know what, let's keep it down. But again, it goes back to seeing the play and who's transitioning to what aspect of the game, and part of that, it could have been the line judge, could have been the back judge. Unfortunately, a flag wasn't put down, and they could have had a discussion at that moment. But yeah, his position was that he felt everything was bang, bang, and his body language was pretty adamant that, you know, it's just incomplete pass. But, you know, but things are going to happen. It's going to be, those plays will get you, hopefully it doesn't happen to me in my career.
Yeah.
I did have one play similar to that in the Rose Bowl game where
Yeah.
50% of the country thought it was a offensive pass interference and 50% thought no, depending what team you're pulling for. And so you get in that position and, you know, sometimes those calls are elevate you to the next level and sometimes it can haunt you.
Yeah. And calls like such, basically, how big is or important is like replay assist? How do y'all use that to your advantage? You know, because you can try to see, you can't see everything. It doesn't matter how much you try, you may miss something. But how big is replay assist, or you know, the officials in New York? How big is that?
Yeah, you know, when replay first came out, of course I was in college, you know, we're like, man, don't ever overturn my call. I got too much pride. Now we accept replay. Replay is such a huge part of the game, right? Because something that we can easily miss, replay can maybe help with. But there's a whole rule book on what replay can help us with and what they can't. That's what the general public don't understand. They can't always, college replay looks at every play. NFL, they can assist, you know, with spots, out of bounds, catch, no catch, goal line, first down marker. A perfect example of replay assist would be this. Let's just say it's 3rd and 6, and the running back runs the ball, and the line judge marks him first down. Well, replay has a good, clear shot. The knee was down, the ball was a half a yard short. So after the play, you know, the referee would talk to the replay official. Hey, replay, we playing first down. I'm gonna mark the ball. We're gonna play first down. We're gonna play first down. He's gonna delay a few seconds to let replay get the shots he needs, and then replay would come back and say confirm, or he'll say, hey, it's short, 4th and 5. So he'll mark it 4th and 5, and then we need to go tell the coach, because the coach is now putting in his first down play, right? Because you might see the line judge go like this and tell the change to move, down judge to move, but the referee is giving that replay guy a little time to look at it. And so if he has to change it to 4th and short, now we got to, hey coach, it's now 4th down. You know, so am I going to go for it if I'm on the other 50, or if I'm going to punt? You know, so we give the coaches opportunities to kind of regroup. And we'll tell the quarterback, the referee, the white hat, will tell the quarterback, hey, it's 4th down, not first down. You know, so that's one example how replay assists. Without us stopping the game, they'll come down and help us with that. And it's pretty quick. Like we don't want to stop the game.
Yeah.
And just wait for replay to tell us something. It's pretty quick.
You talked about with the coaches. Did you have first off in college? Did you have any interesting interactions with any college coaches through like your time with the Big Ten?
All of them. All of them are interesting. They all got different personalities. The TCU coach is pretty animated. I'm losing his name, but yeah, he was on my case. That was one game at TCU, and there was a pass interference. I didn't call it, of course. It was just, I felt it was bang bang.
Yeah.
Man, he lit us up. There was a coach. I threw one flag on a coach in my college career at BYU, Coach Satoski.
Yeah.
And here's the story: was they were playing Utah. It was the Holy War, and BYU safety. This was when targeting first came about. The BYU safety came up and lit up a Utah receiver, and I felt it was here, but my back judge threw targeting, and I felt his head got low, got it to the side, and so the process is throw for targeting, let replay take you off. Now in this game we had a Pac-12 replay crew, not a Big 12 crew. It was Pac-12. The Utah had their conference replay guys at the stadium, and we were a Big 12 crew on the field. And so when he threw targeting, I came in to Brian. I say, Brian, I really think he lowered his target, got him in his chest, and got his head around. And then the side judge, who's an attorney with us, he's like, we're going to stay with what we're supposed to do. Let replay take us off. And so I'm looking at the replay with the coach, and they're going to take this off. They won't confirm this. And then sure enough, they come back and it's confirmed targeting. So now the BYU safety is out the game.
Yeah.
So Sataki went berserk, rightfully.
Really?
So he came out to the numbers, and I'm trying to hold him back. We chest bumping each other. He's going to go after my back judge. And I finally had to flag him. He was out of the numbers. I'm like, nah, his assistant's pulling him back. So the next play, Utah throws a pass to the other sideline, and the safety comes up and hits the guy in the head, and the side judge throws targeting. So we come in, we have our conversation following the process, and I'm like, and I'm on the top, BYU sideline, and I'm like, you go and tell him this time. I'm not going to tell him. So two of his players got, disqualified back-to-back plays for targeting. One rightfully so, the other one was like, we could have kept that guy in with a foul. But everything evolves. I mean, we learn to see what targeting is now, and now I think the NCAA is removing the disqualification part of it this year coming. So that might be something different that they're gonna have. And we don't have targeting in the NFL. We just have use of helmet and unnecessary roughness.
And so, from Thibodeau, you and Carl, of course, what does that mean to you? Both guys on the biggest stage officiating from the same place. You don't hear that often. You don't see it often. What's your thoughts on that? And what's your relationship like?
It's pretty amazing. Carl, when I was playing at Nichols, I found a picture. Carl became vice president of officiating for 4 years in the NFL. And when he became vice president, I found through one of my photo albums, I had a picture of me playing D-line here at Nichols. And through the picture on the sideline is a guy holding a first down, the down box, and it's Carl. And I took a picture, I sent it to him. I said, Carl, never forget where your roots are. And, so he started holding the chains when I was playing here, and we didn't really know each other at the time. And so we just developed a relationship over the years, and he kind of mentored me and told me about being patient. And as I got into college and Big 12, and then the NFL starts giving you profile sheets to fill out, and they want to come watch your games, or they send you to all-star games. Carl's always that sounding board on, man, what can I do more? Can I do something different? Or what do you think about this play? I'll shoot him a video and say, can you tell me what I did wrong here? Or what are your thoughts? So he's always giving me feedback from that standpoint. But, there's 121 of us in the world that get to call NFL games. And to have two people from Thibodeau is pretty amazing. And Carl kind of set the pathway for me and some others, and I'm trying to do the same for guys that's behind me as well. We have more guys in college now than we ever had before from the Thibodeau Association calling football. There's one other guy before Carl, Louis Richard. He was the first guy from Thibodeau to be in the NFL. So we actually had 3 of them come from Thibodeau that made it to the NFL. So if we could just set the path for others and show them, hey, the guidelines, this is what you have to do to get into college. This is how you have to present yourself. This is how you got to position yourself to get looked at for the NFL, because they come find you, you don't go find them. And so, Carl's been a great friend and mentor, and hopefully we get to call at least a year together before he retires. We're trying to make that happen. I don't know if it will, but, it could be pretty cool to have that Thibodeau sideline together.
And then you talked about the NFL coming scout y'all as referees. Is that call that you get? Is it like a call that you get whenever you're told, okay, you're moving to the next level? Is it a call? Is it they sit you down? Is it a interview kind of thing?
Yeah, so 2017, you kind of hear things, hey, they starting to look at you, or you getting these emails from them. And, I've gone to the Shriners, the East-West Shrine game practices is where the college all-stars come together. You have the Senior Bowl, the East-West Shrine, you have the NFLPA. So the NFL will bring college officials to work practices and do the games to scout them, to see how they do in a game under pressure. So all that was happening, and then COVID came, and it kind of died down a little bit. And then January 2023, I was asked to go do the East-West Shrine game in Vegas. So I spent a whole week doing practice, did the game, met with the NFL trainers and coaches. They want to see how you are as a person. What's your personality? What's your character like? So, background checks, security background checks. I had all the boxes checked. I had it done. I did my personality test already. So they want to see where they can put you on a crew based on your personality. And then on April 19, 2023, I was walking to Rouse's for lunch. About 11:30 in the morning, my phone rings, and I looked, it's New York. And so I answered, and it was Doug Rosenbaum, and he's a deep trainer in the league, and he says, hey, Jason, he said, how you doing? He said, how's your USFL? I was calling it USFL at the time in the spring ball. He said, how's that season coming? I said, oh, it's pretty good, just learning all the rule books, you know, college, USFL, NFL, we got 3 rule books. He said, well, how would you like to just learn one? That's how, he said, we'd like to bring you on to the NFL. So that's how that happened. It was a phone call. And I remember I got to, I didn't have anything to write on, so I went to Rouse's and went to the deli, pulled a napkin out and started writing on the napkin. I still get the napkin about all the, hey, next Zoom call is this call, this date, 11 o'clock, we can do a Zoom. So I have all that written on a napkin. So, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a pretty amazing day. And then FaceTime my family, my wife and 2 girls, and kind of brought them in on it too, because it's a family deal now. It's a family business, and we all get to enjoy and be part of that, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. And I can only imagine how you felt when you got that phone call. Man, that's awesome. So speaking of family, you have to make sacrifices. You're constantly traveling. How do you balance that? Family time, and I have to go to this game. You're going across the country. How do you balance that?
Yeah, it's I tell young officials who want to start this and the ones who ask about college, how can I get into college? I said 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, your job has to support you. And if you're married or you have a spouse or a partner, they got to support you, because it is a sacrifice, as you mentioned. And so, like I said, I got married in 97. I started officiating high school football in 97. So Friday nights were always, hey, I'm going, see you later. But, you're home at 11:30 on Friday nights, and you have your weekend, right? And we had season tickets to Nichols, so we would go watch the football games. And then I started being like, well, I think I can do that with the Southland officials are doing. So then, you get into Southland Conference, and I got in the Southland Conference in 04, which is when my last daughter was born. So they were kind of born into the whole routine. I don't hunt or fish. I go fishing 1 time a year. So I tell people, look, I officiate, and if you want to put fishing in officiating, figure it out. There's fishing somewhere in officiating. So officiating is my hunting and fishing season. And so instead of, spending money on guns and fishing poles, I'm bringing money home, and it turned into a nice little side gig right now. So yeah, you have to balance it out. But if you're passionate about something, and you guys, when y'all find what y'all passion is, whether it's journalism or doing something else, you're gonna figure out a way to make it both work, right? So the hospital's always been supportive of me, Greg Stock and Thibodeau Regional, and they allowed me to chase that dream. But I gotta do my work at the hospital too. I gotta make sure I don't let nobody down. And so balancing both is always tricky. When football season comes, I'm 24/7 working, Monday through Friday hospital. Saturday I'm traveling to a game. Sunday night I get home at Monday morning, 1:30 in the morning. Monday I'm back in the hospital. So you do that for 22 weeks, and you just get in a routine and just go with it. But yeah, it is a sacrifice. I tell my wife, I said, we had a little boy who played football on Friday nights, I would have to make some decisions. But no, the family's been great. I was able to bring them on board. In college, the girls would be like, what bowl game we going to this year? I said, I don't know, we didn't get the bowl game yet. So I would always take all my family to the bowl game for that. And then I was able to experience the Super Bowl this year with them all. So I brought 12 people with me to the Super Bowl and had a great time.
And I know you're officiating the Super Bowl. I got a chance to go to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Tickets from Camp Jordan in New Orleans, and that atmosphere was amazing. You're on the field. You definitely have an impact on this game. Talk about being in that environment and like, I am this environment. I am a part of this environment. I am affecting this environment. How does that feel?
It's pretty cool. I get goosebumps right now just thinking about it, because I've been in the league for 3 years. And when I got in the league, to work a Super Bowl, you had to be in for 5 years and work a championship game. That was the qualifications. Well, the Super Bowl you went to in New Orleans, they changed it. And that year, 2 officials were in their 3rd year who worked that game in New Orleans. So I was going in my 3rd year after that Super Bowl. So I'm thinking, my goals have just been changed, right? So what can I do to position myself as someone to be considered for it? So, but yeah, working that Super Bowl, I mean, it's still surreal. I still sit here thinking to have LX behind my name in the officiating world forever is going to be pretty cool. Because some officials, unfortunately, they work 16, 17, 18 years and never get the opportunity. So to do it in 3, I got to thank the crew that I was on. Sean Hockley's my referee. Been with him all 3 years, and the way he teaches us and commands us to work the game is unbelievable. So putting the work in place. But yeah, being out there on the field, my first TV timeout, I'm just sitting there looking around at the stands and the lights and everything, and I see my family up there.
Wow.
I mean, it brings tears to your eyes.
Yeah.
When they sing God Bless America and the national anthem,
Yeah.
it's just, man, the chills and the flyover. I mean, all that stuff is cool. And so, but once the foot hits the leather, it's now drilled down into putting that cap down, let's play ball, let's make them big, like I said earlier, and let the players play the game, and make it enjoyable. It's all about entertainment.
And
That's what it is.
one thing I was always intrigued in, and I want to know your perspective on this. You liked sports growing up. Obviously, you're a sports fan. You're in sports officiating. So when it comes to favorite teams, how do you, because you have to, that has to go.
It does.
You have to be even and equal and neutral with everything. How is that done?
Yeah. Well, we're professionals. It's a business now. And I've worked New Orleans Saints twice. My first year, and I worked them once my second year. And growing up in Louisiana, I mean, that's the NFL team of the state, right? So you gotta focus the game. You gotta approach the game that this is business. It's A against B. It's colors against colors, and that's it. When you work a local game, people know, they recognize you on the field, and so you pull that hat down a little bit tighter and just make sure that, and pray that nothing bad happens. But yeah, it's a business now. We're at a level to where we can approach the game that way, to where, when I was a little boy, I had Dallas Cowboy jerseys, Saints jerseys, whatever, but you're a football fan at the end of the day. And so you want the game to, I don't want to get fired, so I don't want to be out there and show any biases toward one team or anything like that. We don't care. We tell coaches in training camp and players, when we go to training camps, we stand in front of the teams and we have a moment to address them. Our goal is the same as your goal. You trying to get to the Super Bowl, you trying to make the team. It's the same with us. We're trying to get to the Super Bowl. And it's not our crew that makes the Super Bowl, it's individuals. So as an individual, you want to grade out to be the best you can that year to be considered for it. And so I haven't met anybody say, hey, look, let's throw the game for this, or what's the conspiracy for this and that. Nothing that comes across our table. We're there, we're human, we're going to make human mistakes. At the end of the day, my integrity's on the line, my name and face is there, my family, and I don't want to do anything that's going to cause anybody to egg my house or anything like that. So it's, we're there to win, we're there to be the best, and that's it. At the end of the day, I want to be the best field judge I can, and I want to challenge my coworkers or my co-field judges the same. So, they challenge me, so we make each other better.
My last question, walk us through when you are at home with the family, maybe watching a football game or a game, do you have like that official mindset, like, oh man, I would have made that call, or man, he missed that call? Do you see the game different watching it on TV now, you being an official?
Ask my wife, she watches the game different now. But yes, you're always in officiating mode, and you're trying to put yourself in that position as well. 'Cause I'll watch high school games, and I'll go to high school meetings here in Thibodeau, and I still have a lot of friends in college in the Big 12, and they'll shoot me videos, and so you put yourself in that position and say, what would I do differently, or if they asking me a question, what they can do differently to give them that feedback. But I'm always in that mode. When Thursday night football at Nichols, I'll go to the game because we travel on Saturday, so we would definitely put myself in a position to see if we have done something differently there, or maybe I learned something from those guys as well. So we're all trying to make each other better, but it's hard to get out of officiating mode. Yeah, for sure.
Well, man, we thank you so much for coming on and this was one of my favorite interviews. Hearing it from an official, because we watch games a lot, and we always wonder what's going through officials' mind and how they approach it.
I could do that.
Yeah, I could do it. How they approach it, because it's complex. So, and you did it at the highest level, man. I know that's a great feeling. But we thank you for taking time out and coming to talk to us and telling us your story, being from Thibodeau, coming to Nichols. The whole full circle moment is so big. And I'm a recent grad. He's about to graduate. He's a student here. And, you know, it gives us a sense of hope and belief that, you know, people from where you're from or where you came from, went to school where you went, are at the highest level. That makes you believe. And we just thank you for that, giving us your time,
this was
man.
great, and I appreciate anytime we can send some positive light on officiating, because we get enough negative.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's always good, so never boo the refs, and, hey, man, I got extra stripes I can give y'all. Y'all come to the kitchen and see how hot it gets.
All right, man. Thank you so much for
All
this.
right.
We appreciate
Yes,
you,
sir.
man.
Thank you so much.
This was awesome. I enjoyed this. I can do it all.